Let's write a Band 8.5 essay together using the same formula thousands of our students have used to go from 6.5 to a 7 or 7.5. I'll take you through it in 13 steps, from the introduction to the conclusion. And here is the task. Nowadays, many people choose to be self-employed rather than work for a company or organization. Why might this be the case? What could be the disadvantages of being self-employed? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Write at least 250 words. Self-employment comes up in exams quite often. By the way, self-employed means working for yourself instead of for a company. Freelancers, English tutors, accountants, or people who start a business of their own, like a shopkeeper. So, during your exam, read the task slowly. I know the pressure is to start writing straight away with the clock ticking, but everything your essay has to cover is there in the task, and an extra minute here is worth a lot. Let's look at what you're actually being asked. We have 2 questions. The first one is, why do people choose this? In other words, what are their reasons, or what are the advantages of choosing this? And the second one is, what could go wrong? What are the drawbacks? So this type is called 2 direct questions. Both of them need a proper answer, roughly the same amount of detail. And that matters quite a lot, because that's exactly what the examiner is checking when they look at this requirement. Band 7, the main parts of the prompt are appropriately addressed. The main parts, all of them. And if you write quite a lot about one question and not too much about the other, you're not covering all the parts equally. Be mindful about that. Now, there is another thing students often get confused about when they look at this type of question. Does it ask you what you think? It asks what the reasons are and what the disadvantages are. In your essay, you can still say, I think or I believe this is not a problem at all. But you don't need to say whether it's a good thing that people are leaving their jobs, or maybe you think it's a bad thing. You don't need to make this choice. That's not what this task is about. Now, let's plan the essay. Before I write a single sentence, I'm going to spend 2 or 3 minutes planning. I know it feels like time you don't have, but it's the opposite. You'll finish sooner and what you write will be better. So let's find the ideas. First question. Why do people choose to work for themselves? Don't overthink it. Go for simple ideas. I've got 2. They might make more money, and that's a perfectly good reason. And they get more freedom over their hours and holidays. That's enough. Second question, the disadvantages. So here I've got 3. The money isn't guaranteed, and there is more to do because you're running the whole business yourself, and all of that adds up to more stress. Okay, that's my plan. Have a look at it for a second. These ideas are very simple. IELTS gives you serious topics, and that makes people reach for serious ideas, but you don't need them. Choose the ordinary ones you can explain in 2 sentences, and you'll write a better essay from the IELTS point of view. By the way, there are 5 essay types in task 2, and this is only one of them. I've put together a sample answer for each type into a free PDF, and it's linked in the description box right under the video. Now, every task 2 essay you ever write can have the same 4 paragraphs. An introduction, the first body paragraph. In our case, it covers the first question. The second body paragraph, answering the second question. And a conclusion. You learn this once and you can use it every time. There are no marks for being original, so don't spend any energy on that. And this structure can help you with this important requirement. Band 7. Information and ideas are logically organized, and there is a clear progression throughout the response. So 1 paragraph per question is logical organization. And clear progression means each idea moves on to the next one instead of circling back on itself. Now, the introduction. And there is something slightly unusual about this one, which I'll show you in a moment. The first job of an introduction is to say what the essay is about in your own words. Don't copy the question, just paraphrase it. An increasing number of people today opt to work for themselves instead of having a job. The task says, choose to be self-employed. I've written opt to work for themselves. So same meaning, different words. Now, a very important sentence and what's different about it. This choice has a number of benefits and drawbacks which will be discussed in this essay. If this were an opinion essay, or an advantages-disadvantages task which asks which are greater, or whether the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, the second sentence would have your opinion, something like, in my opinion, the benefits of being self-employed clearly outweigh the drawbacks. Well, I personally definitely believe in that. What matters is that the examiner is able to see what you think straight away in the introduction. But here, your opinion is not required. So it just tells the reader what's coming, benefits and drawbacks. We're not comparing the two, and that's the whole introduction. Keep it short, the body paragraphs is where your time should go. And the first paragraph answers the first question, and it needs one thing that's missing from a lot of essays I read. Every body paragraph should start with the topic sentence, one sentence telling the reader what this whole paragraph is about. Some of the most common reasons for self-employment are the income and lifestyle that it may provide. Both my ideas. We tell what we're gonna write about straight away, money and lifestyle. So the examiner knows where this paragraph is going. Now, let's present the first reason and explain it. Unlike employees, whose responsibilities and income are determined by their employers, people who work for themselves are free to implement their ideas as quickly as they can, and they receive all the revenue. So I've presented the first idea with a bit of detail, and now I want to further explain what it means. I want to develop it deeper. That means that self-employed people can potentially earn much more than those with similar skills and experience who work for a salary. Okay, now it all makes sense. So we state it, we explain it. Now, the task also asks us to give some examples from our personal experience. So let's give one. It really doesn't have to be impressive. A freelance translator, for example, can simply take on more clients. A salaried colleague cannot. And you may say, well, more clients is not that simple. And I agree, but it's an IELTS essay, so let's not get bogged down in detail. Keep your example small and specific. Now, the second reason, with a linker to signal it's coming. Moreover, not having a boss means that people can choose their own working hours and number of holidays. Okay, with the first idea, we developed it in quite a lot of depth because I think the idea was more complex. This one seems to be quite straightforward, so we don't have to write too much about each idea. I think this one is clear already. So let's just move on to the next sentence, which is gonna wrap up this body paragraph. Not surprisingly, more and more people are leaving the safety of a salary job to become self-employed. So we're linking our paragraph back to our question. The paragraph now has a clear beginning and a clear end. And I want to cover one requirement that's so often misunderstood in IELTS writing. Let's read it. Band 7. There is some ability to use less common and/or idiomatic items. So let's look at our writing. We keep on referring to the same group of people, so let's count how many different expressions we've used. Self-employed, work for themselves, a freelance translator, those with similar skills and experience who work for a salary. So every time we use a slightly different expression. You can still repeat some of them, but this is a way to show a variety, to show that your vocabulary is large enough not to repeat the same expressions over and over. That's good for your score. Also, there are a few word combinations I'd like to note. For example, implement the ideas, receive all the revenue, the safety of a salary job. Those are collocations, words that naturally sit together. And using them well is a big part of a good vocabulary score. You don't need big words for a high score. You need the ones you already know used well, used precisely and accurately. The second paragraph. There is a sentence in it which I would tell most of you not to copy, but I still want to show it to you and I'll explain why in a second and what you can write instead. But before we get to that, one thing. If writing like this feels hard, I get it. It's what my students often struggle with when they start. But it isn't a talent. It's a skill you can build. And that's what my courses are for. We go through every task to question type, how to find simple ideas quickly, how to turn a plan into a paragraph like the one we just wrote. And we do the same for speaking. These courses are designed to help you pass in as little time as possible, and I'll link them below if you'd like to have a look. Right, now let's go to the second body paragraph and that sentence not to copy, but let's start with the topic sentence. Despite the obvious appeal, being self-employed is riskier than working for someone else. So, two things I want to note here. Despite the obvious appeal. So this phrase points straight back to the paragraph we've just finished, which ties the two paragraphs together. That's great for your coherence and cohesion score. And the rest of the sentence tells us what this paragraph is about, risk. So let's present the first idea. One of the risks is financial uncertainty. 6 words, nothing wrong with that. Even Band 9 essays can include simple sentences. Now, let's explain it. And that's the sentence I warned you about. Entrepreneurs and freelancers are not guaranteed a certain level of income, nor are they eligible for a pension, paid holidays, or sick leave. Look closely at nor are they eligible. The verb has jumped in front of the subject. That's called an inversion. And when you get it right, an examiner notices. But should you use it? Honestly, for most of you, no. Because this version works too. And they do not get a pension, paid holidays, or sick leave. Same idea, easier grammar. Nothing wrong with that at all. Why is it worth knowing? Let's read the requirement. Band 7 uses a variety of complex structures, frequent error-free sentences, Read that second half again. Frequent, error-free sentences. Examiners really count how many of your sentences contain mistakes and how many don't. And a correct sentence that is less complex will always do more for your score than an ambitious one you get wrong. Your grammar needs variety. It doesn't need to be difficult. And now let's present the second disadvantage. The workload may be higher too. Another short sentence and the explanation. Unlike employees who can specialize in one function, the self-employed are responsible for all the business operations, from attracting clients to delivering products or services to preparing their financial accounts. That is the longest sentence in the essay, and it goes right after one of the shortest. This mix is the variety we were talking about. That's good. And if a sentence like this feels too much under exam pressure, here is the safe version. Employees can specialize in one job. The self-employed have to do everything: find clients, deliver the work, and keep the accounts. So 2 shorter sentences instead of 1 long one. Still clear, still correct, and it's still good for your score. And the last idea, which is really the result of the 2 before. The multitude of issues that self-employed people have to manage may cause them more stress and anxiety than full-time employees tend to experience. Notice it does 2 things at once. It gives me the third disadvantage, stress, and it also closes the paragraph by summing up what came before it. Now let's write the conclusion, and the conclusion for this type of task should have something that students sometimes forget to include. Let me show you. Your conclusion doesn't need to be long. Mine is 2 sentences. The first sentence summarizes the arguments for the first question. To conclude, so it's very obvious it's a conclusion. More and more people are becoming self-employed, choosing the flexibility and unlimited potential this career path provides. So that's question 1. Now let's answer question 2. On the downside, these people are not guaranteed any income and must take full responsibility for themselves. That's question 2. And the answer is 294 words long, and you can save it as a PDF together with the sample answers for the other 4 question types. I'll link it below. And if you're looking at this essay thinking, well, my English is pretty decent, why my writing score came back at a 6.5 or maybe below? Or maybe you're just fearing it might happen. You should know that the problem may not be your English at all. And in this video, I've gone through the reasons why strong students lose marks in writing, and most of them can be fixed in weeks rather than months. Thank you so much for watching me today. Good luck with your preparation and your exam.